I wish I could see you one more time, just to hold you. The words were a velvet lie, whispered through the phone, and they ripped through me with the force of a physical blow. Because I was seeing him, right now. I was standing less than 100 feet away, hidden behind a pillar at the international terminal, watching him lean against the check-in counter, his phone pressed to his ear, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk playing on his lips as he fed me the beautiful, hollow words I so desperately wanted to hear. He was leaving, for good. The plane ticket in his hand was a final verdict, and the boarding call echoing through the terminal was the sound of a gavel striking down on the last 3 years of my life. My heart hammered against my ribs, a trapped bird beating its wings against a cage. I wanted to run to him, to scream, to wrap my arms around his neck and force him to look at me, to see the wreckage he was leaving behind. But I didn't. I couldn't. And maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to anymore. An hour later, I was in a hotel room, one of those anonymous, 5-star places near the airport, the kind designed for transient souls and secret sins. I'd lied to my husband, Mark. A quick practice text message. Hey honey, last-minute work trip just came up. Have to stay overnight. See you tomorrow. It was the same lie I had used so many times before, the lie that had always led me to Liam. But tonight, there was no Liam. There was only me. I threw my purse on the crisp, white duvet and collapsed onto the bed, the silence of the room amplifying the roar in my head. And then the tears came. Not delicate, silent tears, but ugly, gasping sobs that tore from the deepest part of my soul. I let them fall, a furious, cleansing torrent, hoping they could wash away the love, the bitterness, the regret that was poisoning me from the inside out. Because in that moment, with the sterile smell of hotel soap in the air, only the tears felt real. Only they had the power to carry the weight of it all. The beautiful, devastating memories flooded back, dragging me under. 3 years. For 3 years, I had loved him. And for 3 years, my life had been a frantic dance of waiting, of longing, of a gnawing anxiety that coiled in my gut like a serpent. I remember the day it all began, as if it were etched into my memory. It was a Sunday evening in the thick of summer, 3 years ago. A quiet, lonely night. Mark and the kids were out of town, visiting his family for a cousin's wedding. I'd stayed behind, using work as an excuse. I was sitting in the den, swirling the ice in a glass of lukewarm water, lost in the kind of melancholic thoughts that only an empty house can inspire, when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Sophie?" a man's voice asked, a voice that was both strange and faintly familiar. "Yes? Who is this?" I replied, my tone sharper than I intended. "It's Liam," he said. "Liam Hayes. You remember me, right?" "Liam?" I cycled through the Liams I knew. There were a few, all distant acquaintances. "I'm sorry, which Liam?" I asked, my patience wearing thin. This felt like a sales call. "Wow, has it been that long?" He chuckled, a low, warm sound. "We went to high school together, Sophie. Lived 3 blocks from each other. Don't tell me you've forgotten." It took a good 10 seconds for the pieces to click into place. Liam, the quiet, lanky boy who'd been my shadow from elementary school all the way through senior year. When we went off to college, our universities were in different cities, but every Friday, without fail, Liam would drive his beat-up Honda Civic 2 hours to my campus, just to give me a ride back to our hometown for the weekend. Back then, everyone assumed we were a couple, but I never saw it that way. To me, he was just, is less than #0. 3# is greater than Liam, the boy with the car. It was convenient. After he got married and moved to London for business, I hadn't seen or heard from him in nearly 20 years. And now, out of the blue, He was calling me. Oh my God. Liam, is that really you? When did you get back? Knew you'd remember, he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. I'm back in the States to scout some new business locations. Just for a few days though, but I had to call you while I was here. Are you free? Can we grab a coffee or a drink? I glanced at the clock. It was already past 9. It's pretty late. I hesitated. And where are you, anyway? I'm standing outside your house. My heart skipped a beat. What? How do you even know where I live? Sophie, please. His voice turned softer, more serious. I'm flying back to London tomorrow morning. Just give me an hour. I really want to see you. I was completely flustered. Since marrying Mark, I'd never gone out alone with another man. I hated ambiguity, hated anything that might threaten the fragile peace of my family life, even if that peace was built on a foundation of quiet, unspoken compromises. But this was Liam. This was different. He was a piece of my childhood, a living, breathing piece of my history. We were, for all intents and purposes, childhood sweethearts, even if I'd never admitted it. How could I say no to that, especially when he was leaving the next day? Okay, I finally breathed out. Give me a minute to change. There's a small wine bar just down the street, on the corner. I don't want to go far. Whatever you want, Sophie, he replied, his voice filled with an unmistakable joy. We walked side by side in silence, the warm night air thick with unspoken words. There were 1,000 questions I wanted to ask, 1,000 things I wanted to share, but I didn't know where to begin. After 20 years, we were strangers who knew each other's souls. The silence was heavy, awkward, but also electric. Every so often, Liam would stoop to pick up a fallen maple leaf from the sidewalk, turning it over in his hands. The soft, golden glow of the streetlights made the mundane seem magical, romantic. We found a table in a secluded corner of the bar. It was late, and the place was nearly empty. It was only then, under the dim, intimate lighting, that I truly got a good look at him. He was no longer the skinny, painfully shy boy from my memories. The man sitting across from me was handsome, confident, dressed in a tailored blazer. He exuded an air of quiet success and sophistication. So, he began, his eyes locking onto mine. How's your life, Sophie? Are you happy? Oh, you know. I shrugged, trying for a casual tone as I avoided his intense gaze. 3 square meals a day, a roof over my head. Can't complain. He smiled knowingly. Something's not right. I can see it in your eyes. There's a sadness there. A deep, deep sadness. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I insisted, a little too quickly. Why would you say that? You don't know anything about my life. I have 2 beautiful, smart daughters, a good husband who provides for us. I have nothing to complain about. Do you want to play a game with me tonight, Sophie? Let's play the truth game. It's been 20 years since we've really talked. For one night, can we just tell each other everything? No filters, no pretending. I was taken aback by his directness, but there was something in his eyes, a look of such earnestness, of profound trust and affection, that disarmed me completely. Okay, Liam, I laughed, trying to lighten the mood. What truth do you want to know? His smile faded, and his gaze turned serious. Are you happy with him? The question hung in the air between us. How could I even answer that? To say I was happy would be a lie, but to say I was unhappy didn't feel right either. Mark is a good man, I said carefully. He's my rock. With him, I feel stable. That's not what I asked, he pressed gently. Being stable means you're not satisfied, but you've learned to accept it. Am I right? I let out a short, surprised laugh. What are you? A psychologist specializing in the post-marital ennui of suburban women. Maybe I am, he smiled, but his eyes were sad. But do you love your husband, Sophie? The question struck me like a stone. Instead of answering, I deflected. Are you married, Liam? He nodded. Then let me ask you, I said, my voice sharp and serious. Do you still love your wife? After years of marriage, it's not just about love anymore, is it? It's about partnership, about obligation. Love. Love changes. It becomes something else. That's why people talk about the bonds of matrimony, not the passion of it. You've become quite the philosopher, he said, a sad smile touching his lips. As for me, I have never loved my wife. To say that out loud feels like a betrayal to her. I know. She's a wonderful woman, beautiful, brilliant. Everyone says so. But I only married her because of a stupid bet with my friends. I never, not for 1 second, loved her. His words hit me with the force of a revelation. It felt like he was speaking from a distant, hollow place, and it made me realize I had never really asked myself what love was, because I had never truly experienced it, not even with Mark. He was my anchor, my partner, my family. But my husband, I never loved him. I married him because I was at the age where you were supposed to get married. At almost 40 years old, I had never once felt the dizzying, all-consuming sensation of being in love. I was never the pretty girl, never the one who had boys chasing after her. It feels like we never end up with the one we truly love, does it? I murmured, a wave of sadness washing over me. Or, if we do, marriage changes it into something unrecognizable. I shook my head, trying to clear the melancholy. God, why are we talking about this? We're way past the age for this kind of drama. It's all about family now, right? Liam didn't answer. He just took a slow sip of his drink, his eyes fixed on the twisting branches of the oak tree outside the window. His gaze was distant, lost in a sea of unspoken emotions. I sat in silence with him, watching, and suddenly, the memories of our shared youth came rushing back, filling the space between us. We were two separate people, lost in our own private worlds of what-ifs. Then, he turned to me, his expression intense. Sophie, what if I told you there was someone who spent his entire youth and all the years since loving only you? What would you think of that? That doesn't exist, I said, with a small, sad smile. Nobody loves someone like that. But what if they did? He insisted, his eyes pleading, desperate. In that moment, I saw it all. The unreadable emotion in his gaze, the years of hidden feelings. A woman's intuition is a powerful thing, and mine was screaming at me, telling me that this was no ordinary conversation. It wouldn't matter, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I'm married, Liam. I'm not the kind of woman who cheats. I would never want to be the other woman, and I would never betray my husband. I saw a flicker of disappointment in his eyes. He turned away for a moment, then looked back at me, his gaze unwavering. I need to tell you something, Sophie. Something I should have told you 20 years ago. I felt a knot of fear and anticipation tighten in my stomach. Liam, what are you talking about? Please, he interrupted, his voice thick with emotion. Just let me say it, just once. I've held this inside me for more than half my life. I need you to know. I wrapped my hands around my now cold glass, my knuckles white, and as he spoke, his quiet, trembling words transported me back 2 decades, back to a time of youthful innocence. He reminded me of all those Friday drives, of the countless hours we spent together. He talked about the time he asked me, hypothetically, what I would say if a boy confessed his love for me. "Do you remember what you said, Sophie?" he asked, his voice cracking. "You said you had to focus on your studies, that your parents were sacrificing so much for your education, and you couldn't throw it away on some silly romance." Those words, they silenced me. So instead of telling you, I started writing to you. Every single day, I wrote you a letter telling you how much I loved you. But I never sent them. I would just put them in an old metal trunk under my bed. His voice dropped to a pained whisper. "For 6 years, Sophie, from the first day of college until the day I got married, every day, another letter. That trunk was overflowing. After we graduated, we drifted apart, and I never found the courage to tell you. The day before my wedding, I took all those letters out to the backyard, and I burned them. But burning the paper didn't burn the feelings. They're still here. Do you remember my wedding day? You were there. I watched you laughing with our old friends, and it was like a knife twisting in my gut. All I could think was that the woman in the white dress should have been you. I swear, Sophie, if you had given me any sign at all, I would have called off the wedding right then and there to be with you." He paused, taking a ragged breath. "For 20 years, there hasn't been a single day that I haven't thought about you. You know those calls you sometimes get from a blocked number where no one speaks? That was me. I just wanted to hear your voice." His words flowed over me, a warm, intoxicating wave. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe someone had been holding on to a silent, secret love for me for 2 decades. The sincerity in his eyes told me he wasn't lying. Tears began to stream down my face, hot and unstoppable. It was a feeling of pure, unadulterated joy. For the first time in my life, I felt truly, deeply loved. Why are you telling me this now, Liam?" I sobbed. "Because I want to make up for lost time," he said, his voice firm as he reached across the table and took my hand. "I want to give you the love you deserve. I want you to be happy." His thumb traced circles on my skin, and I let him. I just let him. My mind a chaotic whirlwind of emotions. Happiness, that someone had loved me so fiercely for so long. Gratitude that I hadn't been forgotten. And something else. Something dangerous. Suddenly, he stood up, pulling me out of my chair and out of the bar. On the quiet, moonlit street, under the shadow of that old oak tree, he pulled me into his arms, and we kissed. It was a desperate, hungry kiss, filled with 20 years of unspoken longing. And in that moment, I realized it had been years, maybe a decade, since I had been truly kissed. The perfunctory pecks from Mark didn't count. This was different. This was raw, passionate, all-consuming. Liam was strong and demanding, like a starved animal, but also impossibly gentle and skillful. His kiss was a form of hypnosis, and I let myself fall under his spell, surrendering completely. The image of my husband and children faded into a blurry, distant memory, replaced by the overwhelming tide of sensation and emotion. For the first time in my life, at 40 years old, I understood what it meant to feel desire. True, earth-shattering, feminine desire. It was a drug, a poison, and it obliterated every last shred of my reason. Later, lying tangled in the sheets of his hotel room, we were still. I listened, mesmerized, as he told me stories of the years he'd spent loving me from afar, of the countless times he'd almost picked up the phone, of the dreams where we were together, and every word he spoke made me feel victorious, like I had conquered the heart of this strong, decisive, incredible man. "This is the first time I've ever felt truly loved," he whispered, kissing my forehead. I silenced him with another kiss, a kiss to thank him for the years of devotion, for the love he had kept safe for me all this time. We fell into each other again, a frantic, beautiful collision of lust and emotion, of past and present. His sincerity had shattered my defenses. I had become the very thing I'd always scorned. I had cheated on my husband. The first thing I registered was the light, a single, sharp blade of morning sun, slicing through a gap in the heavy blackout curtains, striking the wall opposite the bed. For a moment, I didn't know where I was. The scent of him, a subtle mix of expensive cologne and clean linen, lingered on the pillow next to me, and then it all came rushing back. What had I done? And dear God, why did it feel so right? A sense of blissful, languid contentment spread through my limbs, a feeling so foreign it was almost alarming. My eyes fell on the nightstand. Propped against the lamp was a piece of hotel stationery, folded neatly into the shape of a heart. His handwriting, a strong, decisive script, filled the small space. I have to go. An early meeting I couldn't get out of. Thank you for last night. You gave me back a piece of my soul. If there's any chance I can see you again today, text me. I picked up the note, my fingers tracing the letters. I smiled, a real, unguarded smile, and brought the paper to my lips, that trunk full of letters he described. Suddenly, it felt real. I could almost see it, filled to the brim with 20 years of unspoken love. Maybe this is what it felt like, to be cherished. My phone vibrated on the nightstand, jolting me back to the present. His name flashed on the screen. My heart did a frantic little flip. "You're awake," he said, his voice a low, intimate murmur that sent a shiver down my spine. "I am now," I said, trying to sound casual, but my voice was thick with sleep and happiness. "You left without saying goodbye. I know. I hated it. I miss you already. Last night. Sophie, you were incredible. You're the most beautiful woman in the world to me." "Oh, stop it," I laughed, feeling my cheeks flush like a teenager's. "Don't be a sweet talker." "I'm not. I had to sneak out of this meeting just to call you. I just wanted to hear your voice." "So, what's your plan for tonight?" he asked, his tone shifting. "Can I see you?" A knot of disappointment tightened in my stomach. "I don't think so. Mark and the kids are supposed to be home this afternoon." "Ah," he said. The single syllable was heavy with regret. "Well, I guess we both have to make sacrifices to keep our families safe, but if anything changes, you'll let me know." "I will," I promised. "Okay, I have to go. Talk soon." I hung up, the feeling of loss immediate and sharp. He was only here for 3 more days. If I couldn't see him now, it would be another 6 months before he was back in the country. 6 months until I could feel his arms around me again. I walked to the massive window and looked down at the pristine, turquoise water of the hotel's rooftop pool. It looked so inviting, a different world from my own. Just then, my phone rang again. This time, it was Mark. "You up?" His voice was flat, functional, the usual. "Yeah, for a while now. Just getting ready for work," I lied smoothly. "Did you and the kids have breakfast yet?" I glanced at the clock. It was almost 10. Yeah, we ate ages ago." "Why? Good. Listen, the kids want to stay at my parents' for 1 more day. There's some kind of town festival today, and they're begging to go. I told them they could, if it's okay with you. We'll just drive back tomorrow morning." My breath caught in my throat. I held the phone, my mind racing. Guilt and a dizzying, electric thrill surged through me at the same time. It felt like a sign, a pardon from the universe itself. I was a traitor, a shameless, calculating liar. But the memory of Liam's touch, the echo of his voice, it was a gravitational pull so strong it eclipsed everything else. I'll be a better wife, I told myself, the rationalization forming instantly. I'll be a more attentive mother. This is just for me, a small part of my life that belongs only to me. Besides, Mark traveled for work all the time. Who was to say he'd been a saint all these years? We all have our secrets, don't we? Our own private worlds we need to escape to. Sophie, you there? Oh, sorry. Yes. That sounds great, honey. Let them have fun. It's good for them to experience life out there. Okay, talk to you later. He hung up. I stood there for a long moment, the phone still pressed to my ear, the dial tone buzzing. Then, with trembling fingers, I opened my messages and pulled up my conversation with Liam. My thumbs hovered over the screen. This was a choice, a deliberate step off a cliff. I'm all yours, I typed. Until tomorrow morning, I stared at the words, my heart pounding. Then I squeezed my eyes shut and hit send. The reply came back in less than a minute. Amazing. On my way. Be there in 30. A giddy, reckless smile spread across my face. I walked into the bathroom, turning the shower on as hot as it would go. I felt alive, more alive than I had in 20 years. And as the steam filled the room, blurring my reflection in the mirror, tears of pure, unadulterated joy began to stream down my cheeks. This wasn't a sordid affair. This was destiny. We were simply taking back the love that should have been ours all along. For the rest of that day and into the night, we didn't leave the hotel room. The world outside ceased to exist. We ordered room service. We talked for hours. We made love with a desperation that was both healing and heartbreaking. It was a 40-year-old's version of a teenage romance, intense, all-consuming, and blissfully ignorant of the consequences. For those precious hours, I allowed myself to believe that this was my reality, that this feeling, this man, was all that mattered. The next morning, I drove home and slipped back into my life, as if nothing had happened. I was Sophie, the wife and mother. I made breakfast, I prepped dinner, I did laundry, but I did it all with a secret smile, my phone never far from my hand, waiting for the little buzz that meant a message from him had arrived. His texts were my lifeline, little injections of romance and longing that got me through the day. You're the first person I think of when I wake up and the last before I fall asleep, counting down the seconds until I can hold you again. Many would call me the other woman, a homewrecker. But in my heart, that's not what I was. We had made a promise to each other. Our families would always come first. They would be protected, cherished, and kept safe from our truth. We were simply supplementing our lives, filling a void that should have been filled 2 decades ago. Our love existed before our marriages, so how could I be the third party? When you're in love, you can justify anything, can't you? You can twist logic into knots to protect the beautiful, fragile thing you've built. And that's exactly what I was doing. When Mark and the kids finally returned, they burst through the door like a hurricane of noise and energy. The girls tackled me with hugs, burying their faces in my stomach, and I squeezed them tight, inhaling the sweet scent of them. In that moment, the joy was real. The love was real. Someone's in a good mood, Mark commented, dropping his keys on the counter and flipping on the TV in the living room. I half expected you to have the kitchen looking like a war zone. Well, I had to welcome my 3 favorite people home properly, didn't I? I laughed. Were you lonely here all by yourself? Lonely? Are you kidding? It was a vacation, I joked back. No cooking, no cleaning, no one waking me up at dawn. I think I could get used to the single life. A wicked thought flashed through my mind. If only you knew. One more day, alone with Liam, would have been absolute heaven. A perfect, stolen paradise, that Mark could never give me. I started humming, a cheerful, upbeat tune from our high school days, trying to bury the fresh wave of guilt. If you could wish for anything, wish for time to go back. If time could go back, I would do it all differently. I would have seen the love in his eyes back then. I would have grabbed his hand and never let go. I felt a pang of guilt, not for what I was doing to Mark, but for what I had done to Liam all those years ago. For my blindness. That evening, the family dinner felt perfect. I fussed over Mark and the girls, making sure their plates were full, listening to their stories from the weekend. I would not let them suffer because of my love. No, I would love them more. I would care for them better. That would be my penance, my way of balancing the scales. If I could keep this part of my life, my home, vibrant and whole, then my secret world with Liam would feel less like a betrayal and more like is less than #0. 3 is greater than a necessary self-preservation. After dinner, I hid away in the kitchen, scrubbing pans that were already clean, my phone hidden under a dish towel. His messages were a drug. His words of love, of missing me, made me feel dizzy with happiness. I was a child again, experiencing the intoxicating rush of first love, but with the high stakes of a woman who had everything to lose. But in those moments, I didn't care. I would have risked it all. For him, for this feeling. It was a beautiful, dangerous, exhilarating love, and it was mine. The days that followed fell into a new rhythm. I lived a double life. By day, I was the perfect wife and mother. But in the stolen moments, in the car, in the bathroom, late at night after Mark was asleep, I was Liam's. Our time zones were a challenge, but we made it work. We were 2 people orchestrating a secret symphony across continents. A text from him could stop my world. No matter what I was doing, I would drop everything to reply instantly. I would never make him wait again. But after the initial thrill of each message, a shadow of guilt would fall. Mark was still Mark. He still went to work, still came home, still existed beside me in his quiet, reserved way. He was a man of few words, and his love was a quiet, steady thing, not a blazing fire. I knew, in his own way, he cherished me, and so I tried to atone for my betrayal with attention. I bought him new shirts. I made his favorite meals. I took an interest in his work. He accepted my gestures silently, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, but he never questioned it, and his quiet acceptance made me feel safer. In my secret life, we were an ocean apart, Liam and I, but somehow that distance made the connection even more intense. I didn't know then if what I felt for him was truly love, or if it was just a cocktail of gratitude, pity for his years of silent suffering, and a desperate, primal physical attraction. His touch had awakened a part of me I never knew existed. Even when I was with my husband, I would close my eyes and pretend it was Liam's hands on my skin, Liam's body pressed against mine. Mark's gentle, predictable rhythm only made me long for Liam's passionate, ferocious energy more. I lived for the day I would see him again, but he only came back to the States a few times a year. The scarcity of our time together only fanned the flames of my desire. For 2 solid months, we messaged every single day. He became a part of my soul, an essential piece of my existence. Then, one afternoon, a message came that made my heart stop. I'm coming to Chicago for work in June. I can't make it to New York this time. Can you? Can you get away? Come here for 2 days. My heart exploded in a supernova of pure, unadulterated joy. Chicago. It didn't matter where it was. If he had asked me to meet him on the moon, I would have found a way. Yes, I typed back, my hands trembling. Just tell me when. I'll make it work. The immediate problem, of course, was how. How does a married woman with 2 children and a full-time job simply disappear for 3 days? The answer came to me in an instant. There was only one person in the world who could help me. One person I trusted enough to hold the fragile, explosive secret of my new life. Claire, my best friend since kindergarten. The one person who knew me better than I knew myself. Claire, it's me, I said into the phone, pitching my voice to sound as urgent as possible. I need you. Can you meet? Is the house on fire? She asked, her voice thick with annoyance. It was the middle of a workday. Worse, I said dramatically. Get here. Now. I think I'm dying. We met at our spot. A quiet, lush rooftop garden bar perched atop a luxury condo building. A hidden oasis in the middle of the city. It was our sanctuary. The place we went when the world became too much. The owner had a strict no laptops, no phones policy, which forced people to actually talk to one another. It was perfect. Okay, what's so important it couldn't wait until happy hour? Claire asked, sliding into the wicker chair opposite me. I took a deep breath, the confession sitting on the tip of my tongue like a stone. I'm in love with Liam. Claire stared at me, her expression blank. Liam who? Are you having a stroke? Liam Hayes, I said, my voice barely a whisper. From high school. She blinked, then she let out a short, sharp laugh of disbelief. You're kidding, right? This is a joke. Liam Hayes? You haven't seen that guy in 20 years. You're insane. Her laughter died as she saw the look on my face. Oh my God, you're serious. Sophie, what the hell is going on? You have a picture-perfect life, 2 amazing kids, a husband who adores you, a beautiful home. Why would you light a match to all of that? It's not like that, I said, my voice pleading. I'm not some bored housewife looking for a thrill. Then what is it? She demanded, because from where I'm sitting, it looks a lot like cheating. He's been in love with me for 20 years. Claire, I said, the words tumbling out as I recounted the whole story. The phone call, the coffee shop, the 20 years of unsent letters, the confession that he'd married his wife on a bet. I painted it as a grand, tragic romance. A love story that had been denied by fate for 2 decades. I needed her to see the poetry in it, not the betrayal. When I finished, Claire just sat there, her usually bright, expressive face clouded over with a mixture of pity and disbelief. So, let me get this straight, she said slowly, her voice dangerously calm. Everything you know about this grand, secret love is based on what he told you. A man you haven't spoken to in 2 decades. Has it occurred to you, Sophie, that he might just be telling you exactly what you want to hear? You don't know him, I shot back, stung by her cynicism. He's not like that, and you are, she countered. Because the Sophie I know would never do this. You're destroying your family, Sophie, and you're helping him destroy his. You're becoming the thing you've always hated. We made a promise, I insisted, my voice rising. We are not going to let this affect our families. We're just filling a void for each other. A void, by sleeping together whenever he's in the country. Where do you think this leads, Soph? What's the end game here? Her words were like sharp little daggers, and I felt a surge of anger. She didn't understand. She couldn't possibly understand what it felt like to be truly seen, to be truly loved, for the first time in your life. Look, I said, changing my tactic. I need your help. Liam's going to be in Chicago next week for work. I need to go. Claire looked at me as if I'd grown a second head. You can't be serious. I am. I need you to cover for me. I need you to tell Mark that we're going together. A girl's trip. A long weekend. He trusts you, Claire. He'll believe you. She leaned back in her chair, shaking her head in disbelief. So now you want me to be an accessory to this? You want me to lie to your husband's face? I'm asking you to help your best friend, I pleaded, my eyes filling with tears. Please, Claire, I've never asked you for anything like this before. Please. She was silent for a long time, her gaze fixed on something beyond the city skyline. I could see the war raging within her loyalty to me versus the moral code she lived by. Fine, she finally sighed, the word tasting like defeat. I'll call Mark, but I'm not happy about this, Sophie. I think you're making the biggest mistake of your life. She stood up abruptly. I need a drink, a real one, and then we're getting Thai food. I want something so spicy it makes my eyes water. Because right now, that's what life feels like. It's supposed to burn. The trip to Chicago was a dream. A 48-hour fantasy where I was no one's wife, no one's mother. I was just a woman in love. We checked into a boutique hotel with sweeping views of the lake. I met him in the lobby, my heart pounding like a drum, and I threw a bouquet of flowers into his arms. I'd never bought a man flowers before, but with him, everything felt different, new. He dropped them on the floor and pulled me into a kiss right there, in front of everyone. A deep, possessive kiss that left me breathless and dizzy, with a happiness so intense it was painful. We didn't leave the room for the first 24 hours. We talked, we laughed, we made love, we ordered room service, and we existed only for each other. The whole world shrank down to the size of that king-sized bed. And if someone had told me I had to give up everything I had just to stay in that moment, I would have done it without a second's hesitation. The second night, I knew I had to face the music. Claire was in town for her own legitimate work conference, and she'd insisted on a summit. The three of us, for dinner. I dragged Liam along, knowing it would be an ordeal, but I needed Claire on my side for the long haul. This wouldn't be the last time I needed her help. We were a strange trio in that upscale restaurant. Three people who had grown up together, now bound by a terrible, beautiful secret. So, this is why you really came to Chicago, Claire said, her eyes fixed on me, completely ignoring Liam. The accusation was clear. I told you, didn't I? I said, trying to sound breezy. Tonight is on me. A thank you to both of you for being in my life. Are you trying to bribe me? Claire shot back, her smile thin and cold. Liam finally spoke, his voice smooth and calm. Claire, I know this looks complicated, but what Sophie and I have is real. For the first time in my 40-plus years, I know what it feels like to be in love. Can't you just be happy for your friend? I don't want to be an accomplice to a crime, she said, her voice dropping. Don't drag me into this. The rest of the dinner was excruciating. We talked about high school, about old memories, about anything and everything except the truth that was sitting at the table with us. Every shared memory only seemed to deepen my feelings for Liam, reminding me of all the years we'd lost. Claire barely touched her food and left early, claiming she had a morning meeting she needed to prepare for. I knew it was an excuse. As soon as she was gone, I turned to Liam, the tension leaving my body in a rush. I curled into his side in the back of the cab, breathing in his scent, letting the feeling of his arm around me erase the discomfort of the last hour. Every second with him was precious, and I wouldn't let anything, not even my best friend's disapproval, ruin it. I fell back into his arms that night, back into the blissful oblivion that only he could provide. This, I thought, this was my real honeymoon, not the polite, awkward trip Mark and I had taken 15 years ago. This, with the man who had loved me for 20 years. That thought, that incredible romantic thought, haunted me. It made me feel like I owed him this, like I was repaying a debt by giving him my body and my heart. It made me feel like less of a sinner. How could I feel guilty about being with a man who had dedicated his entire emotional life to me? The 2 days passed in a blur of passion and stolen moments. Leaving him at the airport felt like tearing a part of myself away. The future stretched before me, a long, empty desert of waiting and longing. But as I boarded my own plane back to my other life, I had an unshakable faith in our love. It was a strange, magical, forbidden thing, built on a foundation of lies and contradictions. I couldn't explain it, I couldn't define it, but I was caught in its spell. It was a beautiful, powerful addiction, and I was convinced, in my heart of hearts, that I was in complete control. I wept as I looked out the window of the plane, not from sadness, but from the sheer, overwhelming intensity of it all. Even now, years later, when the loneliness is a physical ache in my chest, when the truth of our so-called love has been laid bare, I can still remember those moments of pure, unadulterated happiness. They shine in my memory like a beacon, a blinding light that makes the darkness that followed feel even colder and even more absolute. My phone chimes, a sharp, intrusive sound that slices through the pre-dawn stillness of the hotel room. I look at the screen. It's him, calling me, after a month of near total silence, a month where my only companion has been the ghost of his indifference. He is calling me. I remember his last words to me at the high school reunion. A cool, dismissive, "I'm busy, we'll talk later." A promise he never kept. And now, this. At 5 in the morning, as he's about to board a plane that will take him an ocean away, he calls. "I wish I could see you one more time, just to hold you." The lie is so blatant, so insulting, it leaves me breathless. I stare at my reflection in the dark glass of the hotel window. The city lights of Hanoi shimmer behind me, a galaxy of indifferent stars. He has no idea I'm here. He has no idea I've been watching him for the last hour, that I saw him laugh with his business partners, scroll through his phone with a bored expression, and never once cast a glance around, never once looked for me. This phone call isn't a desperate, last-minute plea. It's an act of self-preservation, a way to soothe his own conscience, to keep the door cracked just enough so he can slip back into my life whenever it's convenient for him. The realization is a cold, hard knot in my stomach. For 3 years, I have been living in a silent love story. Ever since that trip to Chicago, our affair has followed a predictable, soul-crushing pattern. He would come to the country twice a year for work. He would text me a date. I would clear my schedule, invent a lie for Mark, and we would meet, always at a hotel. We never went out. We never took a walk in the park. We don't have a single photograph together. Our entire relationship has been confined to the 4 walls of a sterile, anonymous room, a world that shrank down to the size of a king-sized bed. It was a world of pure, unadulterated physical pleasure, and for a long time, I convinced myself that was enough, that it was romantic. But was it? What about the months in between? The long, silent stretches where the only thing connecting us was the faint, flickering hope of his next visit. There were no phone calls, no texts, nothing. He claimed it was for our safety, that his wife was getting suspicious, that he didn't want to risk exposing us. "We have to be careful, Sophie," he'd written in a message 2 years ago, the last real conversation we ever had. "Let's not text for a while. It's safer this way. I'll reach out when I know my travel dates." And like a fool, I believed him. I thought he was protecting me, protecting us. I saw his silence as a noble sacrifice, a testament to the depth of his love. How romantic, I told myself. To love someone so much, you have to be silent. It was the same kind of silent suffering he'd endured for me for 20 years. Now, it was my turn. I owed him that. The memory of a conversation with Claire from that time echoes in my mind. "He's playing you, Sophie," she'd said, her voice sharp with a brutal honesty only a true friend can deliver. When a man wants you, truly wants you, there are no excuses. He'll stay up all night working and still show up at your door with coffee in the morning. When he doesn't, suddenly everything is an excuse. It's for your own good. It's too risky. It's all bullshit. You don't understand our connection, I had argued, my voice weak even to my own ears. Oh, I understand it perfectly, she'd retorted. He gets a no-strings-attached lover a few times a year, and you get… what? The silent treatment. That's not love, Sophie. That's a booty call with a backstory. Her words had hurt, but I'd pushed them away. I clung to the idea of our tragic, silent love. I told myself that the pain was a measure of its intensity. It had to be. Otherwise, what was I doing? Who had I become? The silence was a physical presence in my life, a heavy blanket of unspoken words and unanswered questions. It was a kind of madness. I would type out long, soul-bearing messages to him, my thumbs flying across the screen, pouring out all my love and loneliness and frustration. And then I would delete them, letter by letter, my heart aching with the effort of my own restraint. All I could do was stare at his profile picture, at the little green dot that indicated he was online, and wonder if he was thinking of me, wonder if he was composing his own unsent messages. The irony was crushing. His silence, the thing I once saw as a romantic sacrifice, was now a form of torture. It was a mirror, forcing me to feel the same helpless, invisible agony he claimed to have felt for me for 20 years. And in some twisted way, that made me love him more. It made me feel closer to him. If I could endure this pain, maybe I was worthy of his love. The pain began to bleed into my real life. I lost weight. Dark circles formed under my eyes. Mark, in his quiet, oblivious way, grew concerned. He started coming home from work earlier, taking the girls off my hands, cooking dinner. He'd buy me expensive vitamins and gently remind me to take them. He did it all without a word, silently, but his actions were louder than any declaration of love. I saw the worry in his eyes, the deep, unspoken affection, and it made me feel like the worst kind of monster. He was here, tending to me, while my heart was an ocean away, breaking for a man who wouldn't even send me a text message. My husband's kindness didn't soothe my longing for Liam. It amplified it. Every gentle touch from Mark made me crave Liam's passionate embrace. Every quiet evening at home made me yearn for the stolen, illicit thrill of a hotel room. I had become a stranger in my own life, an actress playing the part of a wife and mother, while my true self was trapped in a silent, agonizing limbo. I was greedy, selfish. I wanted both worlds. I wanted the stability and comfort of my family, and the wild, intoxicating passion of my affair. I had given my heart to Liam, leaving Mark with the empty shell of a wife, and he never even noticed. Or if he did, he never let on. That was the most painful part of all. His trust in me was absolute. The tears that I had held back for so long finally began to fall, hot and silent, as I think of my husband. Today, he'd rearranged his entire schedule to take care of the girls so I could have a mental health day to myself. And I had used that gift of his kindness to come here, to this airport, to stalk the man who was systematically destroying me. I am not just a fool. I am a cruel, selfish fool. And Liam is not a tragic romantic hero. He is a user, a man who created a beautiful, elaborate myth to get what he wanted, my body. And once he had it, once the conquest was complete, the thrill was gone. He didn't need me anymore. Or maybe he never did. Our entire relationship, every stolen moment, every whispered promise, was his design, his decision. He decided when we spoke. He decided when we met. He decided when we would be silent. The one and only time I couldn't make one of his scheduled rendezvous, he punished me with weeks of silence. Was it because he was a selfish, manipulative man? Or was I just a weak, pathetic woman, so starved for affection that I would accept any crumbs he threw my way? The questions circle in my mind, a relentless, merciless vortex. He promised to fill the emptiness inside me, but all he did was carve out a new, bigger, more painful hollow, a hollow filled with waiting and longing, and a shame so deep it feels like it's dissolving my bones. But whose fault is that? His for being a liar, or mine for wanting so desperately to believe the lie? We were both cowards, too afraid to leave our comfortable lives, but too selfish to give up the thrill of our secret. Our love wasn't strong enough to build a life together, but it was just strong enough to destroy the lives we already had. And so we told ourselves it was for the best, that we were protecting our families. But who were we protecting them from? The only threat was us. A new dawn is breaking over the city, a new day, and with it, a new clarity. I've been asleep for 3 years, lost in a beautiful, toxic dream. It's time to wake up. My future isn't in a hotel room with a man who lives on another continent. It's at home, with my quiet, steady husband, and my 2 beautiful daughters who love me with a purity I have done nothing to deserve. That is my reality. That is my life. I promise myself, right here, right now, this is the last night I will cry for him. This is the last night I will waste a single thought on our silent, stillborn love. Everything has an end, and this is it. I'm closing the book on this chapter of my life. I will go home, and I will be present. I will be the wife and mother my family deserves. I go into the hotel bathroom and splash cold water on my face, washing away the tear tracks, washing away the last 3 years. This is the last time. Tomorrow, there will only be smiles. I look at myself in the mirror, at the tired, hollowed-out woman staring back at me, and I have to laugh. A bitter, ironic laugh. I'm a grown woman, a mother of 2, and I'm crying over a man like a heartbroken teenager. My phone buzzes, cutting through my thoughts. It's Mark. You up yet? His voice, for once, is not flat. There's a warmth to it, a gentle tenderness. Just got up, I lie, but I inject a cheerfulness into my voice that I don't feel. What's up? You're calling early. It's a big day, he says, and I can hear the smile in his voice. It's Maya's middle school graduation. The ceremony is this morning. Did you forget? My heart sinks. I had forgotten. Completely. Can you get away from work and come? She really wants you here. It starts at 9. Of course, I say, my voice firm, resolute. I'll be there. I'll be home in 2 hours. Great. Oh, and honey? It's the first time she gets to wear the traditional white owl dye. You're going to be so proud. I'm on my way, I say. I hang up and check the time. It's only 5:30. I have time, and in that moment, I know what I have to do. I think of Liam's trunk of unsent letters, the beautiful, romantic lie that started it all, and I decide to write a letter of my own. The first and the last letter I will ever write to him. Liam, allow me to say your name one last time. Allow me to say I love you one last time. I love you with my entire heart. That is a truth I will never deny. The love I felt for you was bigger than anything I have ever known. I'm not proud of it, but I was, for a brief time, deliriously happy to be loved by you. For 20 years, you carried a secret love for me, and that knowledge, that beautiful, tragic story, moved me so deeply, it made me fall into your arms. It made me give you my whole heart. But perhaps you wanted me to know the pain of that silent love for myself, because your silence has been a slow, agonizing torture. It has taught me what it feels like to love without being able to speak, to scream, to connect. And it has also taught me that a silent love cannot survive. It suffocates. Love needs to be answered with love. In the 3 years we've known each other again, we have been silent for 2 of them. We met only in bed, and only then, in the dark, would you whisper the sweet words I longed to hear. Your body, your passion, it made me happy, but it wasn't enough to sustain a love. What I needed, what love needs, is to be shared, and you could never share your life with me. So, we have to stop. I will find my happiness with my family, and you, in your world so far away, you must be happy with yours. Thank you, Liam, for everything. I read the letter over, and I'm surprised to find that my eyes are dry. I will not cry for him anymore. Our story has reached its end. It's not his fault. It's not my fault. It's the nature of the love itself, a silent love, born in the quiet desperation of one person's heart, and then transferred to another, to be suffered alone. A silent love deserves a silent ending. I take the letter and a lighter from my purse. I walk to the window and hold the corner of the page to the flame. He burned hundreds of letters, confessing his love for me. I only need one to end it. The flame catches, curling the edges of the paper, turning my neat, careful words into black, dancing ash. It flares up, a final, bright burst of light, and then it is gone. I crumble the ashes into the sink and turn on the faucet, watching as the water washes away the last physical remnants of our affair. It's over. A sudden sense of urgency takes over. The practical, maternal part of me that has been dormant for too long roars back to life. I quickly pack my overnight bag, my mind already running through the morning's logistics. I need to get home. My daughter needs me. My family needs me. On the way, I stop at a small, upscale men's boutique I know. The salesgirl is still yawning, but she greets me with a practiced, professional smile. Well, good morning. What brings you out so bright and early? She asks, her tone friendly. Big day? You could say that. I smile back. I need a white dress shirt, size 42. It's for my husband. Oh, a gift. That's so sweet. I don't think I've ever seen you buy anything for him before. He's very particular, I explain. Always insists on picking out his own clothes. But today is a special occasion. I pay for the shirt and hurry out of the store. Back into the brilliant, unforgiving light of the summer morning. I get home at 7. Mark and the girls are waiting for me in the living room, already dressed. It's a sea of white. The girls are breathtaking in their traditional audai, the pure white silk making them look ethereal, grown up. Mark is in a white polo shirt, looking younger, more relaxed than I've seen him in years. They all rush to greet me as if I've been gone for a century. You're here, Maya cries, throwing her arms around my waist. Of course I'm here, I say, kissing the top of her head. Here, I say, handing the bag to Mark. Wear this today. I want us all to match. A present, he says, looking surprised. He holds up another beautifully wrapped package. This is for you. I hope you like it. He takes the shirt and disappears into the bedroom. I tear open the gift wrap with the girls. Inside is a stunning white dress from my favorite designer. A simple, elegant sheath that I know must have cost a fortune. I can't believe it. I can't believe he would be so thoughtful, so attentive. I run into the bedroom, the dress clutched in my hands. He's standing in front of the mirror, buttoning up the new shirt. It fits him perfectly. I come up behind him and wrap my arms around his waist, pressing my face into the solid warmth of his back. Thank you, I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. Thank you for everything. I'm so happy. I feel the tears start again, but this time, they are not tears of sorrow. They are tears of gratitude, of relief. He turns in my arms and gently wipes a tear from my cheek. I should be thanking you, he says softly. Now go get dressed. We don't want to be late. He smiles. You know, today is also our 15th wedding anniversary. My heart stops. In the chaos of the last 3 years, I had completely forgotten the dress. I stammer. It's beautiful. Go, he says, giving me a gentle push. Put it on. We walk out of the house, hand in hand, a family, whole. My daughter is a young woman. My husband and I have been married for 15 years. We have weathered storms we didn't even know we were in. The happiness I had been chasing, the fulfillment I had been looking for in secret hotel rooms and stolen moments. It was here all along, right in front of me, solid, real. The past will finally be the past. A beautiful, painful memory. Goodbye, my silent love. Wherever you are, I hope you find your happiness too.